Play Your Role is a proud affiliate of Epoch's 3D Magnetic Dungeon Tiles Kickstarter. Epoch is making absolutely incredible magnetic tiles that you can snap together and make a battle map in mere seconds. They've been incredibly kind to my channel, and their product looks absolutely amazing. The Kickstarter ends on February 25th, so if you would like to help out our friends, please go check out the link in the description to support both us and them. Enjoy the video.
So I talk a lot on my channel about how to play certain types of characters, how to roleplay, how to create the fantasy that you're going for. But one main topic constantly comes up over and over again, and I think just generally this one concept can help a lot of people. And that's, how do you communicate to the rest of the table the vibe you're wanting for your character? And vibe is a nebulous concept, but hear me out here. The vibe is like what it is you're wanting to communicate. Am I a charismatic but devious and oftentimes sort of a little bit of a shithead? Or am I a little shy and quiet and calm and oftentimes don't want to communicate properly and just hide inside my shell? Or am I just a blunt asshole who just wants to say what I want to say and challenge you to try and tell me otherwise? There's a lot of different ways to do that, but communicating that to the table can be really difficult, especially if some of us don't like doing voices or we don't have a lot of acting or improv experience. So let's talk about that. So there's a few different ways you could do this, but the number one thing that I can give anybody, and this is a tip anybody can do, is focus on your posture. When we're sitting at a D&D table, a lot of the times we're leaned back, slouched, enjoying ourselves, or we're leaning over and trying to look over our sheets. But when you are talking in character or trying to communicate the vibe that your character has, even if you don't do voices, even if you don't talk in character, your posture will communicate so much. And I'll give an example of this. Say you're a barbarian, a very stoic, quiet, large, and in charge barbarian. You don't say much, but you communicate things through your actions, and you step forward when times happen, and you want to tell the DM what you're doing. Let's say there's a villain who's trying to threaten one of your other party members. You could say, DM, I would like to step in front of one of the other party members here, and I want to just kind of put myself in between them so that I can try and push the villain back and intimidate them a little bit. Or you can say that exact same thing, but instead you say, DM, I would like to move forward, and I just push myself in between and push the other villain back just so that I can be a force in front of them and try and protect them and intimidate the villain. It's not a lot. All I did was just kind of make myself bigger. But it communicates everything. It communicates what you're hoping your character is achieving and improving here. And this is also big for DMs. Or say you are that charismatic individual who constantly steals the spotlight. You can say, DM, I'd like to walk into the room and I'd like to try and find the nearest stage and start a performance. Or you could say, DM, I'd like to walk in and I'd like to find the nearest stage and just kind of take over the performance. See if I can draw in a crowd. The posture and your movements communicate a ton about your character. They communicate what it is they are like and what it is they're doing. If you're quiet and shy, keep your hands in front of you. Sort of look down, or oftentimes don't make eye contact. You don't have to speak in character, though this will do a ton if you are speaking in character. But these little things will do a whole ton to be able to help you out in creating the fantasy of what you want for your characters. The other thing I would legitimately recommend you doing is finding one thing, one tick, one habit, something that your character does. And the reason that I say this is because if you start doing that whenever you are speaking as your character, or even just telling the DM what the character does, it begins to establish to you who the character is, to the table who the character is, and what you do when you're playing your character. For example, I once played an artificer who was kind of an asshole. I talk about him a lot, D'Artagnan. I probably talked about him in the past week. D'Artagnan was a very, we'll say, brash and very irritating character. He was not very kind or polite a lot of the times. And one of the things that I would do in order to communicate that I was speaking as him is he would often start his sentences with sort of a snooty and upfront, just a sniff. He would do so and turn his nose up to people. And that just alone would communicate to people that I was currently playing D'Artagnan, I was speaking as him, but it would communicate immediately to the NPCs and the people that we talked to just the kind of person he was. I could go talk to a shopkeeper and the shopkeeper would say, oh, these are my wares. And he'd go, yeah, it don't look so great to me. It would immediately communicate that he was just off. And so finding those little habits, for example, if you're shy, picking at your sleeve. Or say maybe you're brash and boisterous, and so you constantly move your right hand every time you talk. Something as simple as that will do a whole ton to communicate the vibe of your character. But let's say you're going even further. The vibe is not just who your character is, personality-wise, though that is a part of it, but it's also the kind of things that they bring to the table, the magic that they bring, or the strength, or something like that. Say you're playing a character who's purely insect-based. You're playing a Swarmkeeper Ranger, and you want to communicate that you don't have these tiny little, mites that go around and eat people, but you have these big, beautiful dragonflies that fly out and create this awesome iridescent cloud. Well, if you want to communicate that to the table, choose specific words that you think make up what your character does. For example, I just said big, beautiful, iridescent. Keep that in mind, and when you describe your actions, use those words. Already have them prepared. You don't have to be super descriptive. You don't have to already be incredible at this stuff. You already have the words prepared to describe it. When I shoot forward my bow, I would like the big iridescent cloud to follow after it and attack the enemy. Or when I go ahead and I use this movement to be able to move past somebody, I want there to be a large iridescent cloud that covers me so that I can make my escape. I would suggest choosing several words. Don't just use the same 3, but if you have that, you don't have to be incredible with your words or incredible at improvising. You already can describe it. And have those words written down and find new ones so that you can continually evolve the vibe of this character. And then let's get to the last part. Voices. Voices are so hard for people to do, and I understand. I personally love doing voices. It communicates so much. There's such a large difference when you're playing a dwarf who has that strong accent and is stepping forward to talk to you. Or there's a very large difference when you're playing a reserved elf who has that sort of snooty tone, but he's keeping it back because he believes that he's humble. It communicates so much difference, but most people don't like doing those voices. And so what do you do instead? Well, there's a few different things. One, the volume of your voice does a ton. If you talk loudly, you're communicating that your character is loud. And if you talk quietly, you're communicating that your character is quiet. Volume is a huge thing, as well as pitch. If you're playing a character who's smaller, oftentimes raising your voice even just a little bit can do a lot to communicate the fact that they're a little smaller. Or if you're playing a bigger character, just moving the tone down and moving the pitch down a little bit just to talk a little bit deeper can oftentimes do a lot. You'll notice I'm not really changing my voice, just a few different things about it. But you don't have to do a lot. Change the volume, change the pitch, and also focus on where your volume's coming from. Is it coming from the back of your throat all the way at the top there? Or is it coming all the way down from your chest and giving that little bit of a rumble? There's a large difference between those things, but if you choose just a few of those, and then match that with the posture tips I stated earlier, it does a whole lot to communicate it. For example, we'll say that I am playing a very lazy bugbear. We'll put a scenario in front of you. Let's say the DM says we walk into a tavern, and I'll give you 2 different things, one using these tips and one not. DM, I'd like to look around and see if there's a place I can slouch down and just go ahead and gulp a drink. Or, DM, I'd like to look around and see if there's a place I can slouch down and take a drink. I didn't do a whole ton. Lowered the pitch of my voice, leaned back to show my relaxed posture, brought my arm up because bugbears have long arms and perhaps he just kind of keeps it generally there like a sloth. Didn't do a whole lot, but it communicates a lot about the character. You don't have to be an amazing actor, you don't have to be an amazing voice actor to be able to communicate this stuff effectively. It's just a few different tips that can often help. And if you do all of that and then also have your descriptive words for what it is that you use in battle, it can go a whole ton to creating that amazing fantasy that you're looking for your character. So go out into the world, make it your own, you beautiful bastards. Don't forget to have a great day, and never forget to play your role.